library in any order.
Ooh, so this card, I think it does redeem her some because I think this card's good, honestly. Because so that 5 drop we were talking about earlier to mix all the Power Stone tokens. This is well,
Hmm.
okay.
Well, so you wouldn't be able to use that on
That's
this.
true. That's true. That's true. But if you have a mono white deck, could use
Hmm.
this. Like you have like low creatures, like your anointed the anointed guy that you can name a card that costs 2 more to play. The activate abilities cost 2 more to play.
Right.
Thalia, Adeline.
Right.
You can use
So
this with
you
that.
should so you should be able, so that would be good too. Um, but you could even pay, like 7 mana into this card, and either way you look at the top 7, and then you can put up to 4 creatures onto the battlefield,
Yeah, that's perfectly
which,
fine.
as long as your deck has the correct CMCs, or mana value,
Hmm.
as they call it now, I think this definitely could work out. Now, do we think that it's constructed playable?
Mm, I think it is. I think it's going to see play because um Storm the Festival sees play, and if you pay 6 mana, you still get 3 things with this, and that makes it. Storm the Festival is, yes, it's a convert and cast 5 or less, but this will still get you 3 things that cost 3 or less. That's a creature artifact.
Yep. So it gets more hits for the same mana of
Hmm.
Storm Festival. Downside
The
is
quality is a
it doesn't
little
flash
less.
back, but
True, true.
those are two completely different decks, I think, though.
Hmm.
But I'm excited to see maybe what some of the artifacts enable this card to do. Like if there becomes any artifact based strategies in standard. I definitely see this card being like a 2 of in a deck with proper mana value.
Oh yeah,
I don't know about playing 4.
I think
Because even
it
if you
depends on
played
the
this
deck.
thing for 4, you would just get one thing off the top of the deck, and if that's the case, I think Elsbeth the Planeswalker does a much better job than this card of hitting something and making a worthwhile.
Well,
uh
Elspeth costs 5, so
yes. But it gets you a permanent with a shield counter on it, and then
true.
you figure you can plus on Elsbeth still.
That's very true. And you can get a land with Elspeth. If this let you hit a land also, maybe
Hmm. So in other formats other than
artifact land.
standard, you could hit artifact lands off of this.
True.
So not that I'm saying this card is playable in like Pioneer or Modern or something like this, but
You never know.
Modern has artifact lands in it.
There might be
Not the
some
original,
decks
but it
out
has
there.
the dual color ones.
True. The dual colors. And then Commander, this card's gonna see play. Easy.
Easy playable commander card. I
True.
mean, you could pump 10 mana into this no problem
Hmm.
and hit a bunch of cards off the top of the deck.
Well, you only get you never want X to be more than 7 because you only get to
Right.
look at 7. So
Hmm.
unfortunately.
So yeah, 100%. I think this is a 5 out of 5 playable commander card.
Hmm.
Probably like 3.5 standard card,
I
maybe.
I agree. We'll have to see what happens with the set.
Yeah.
That also a card like this also it depends on what comes out after it too. Like the next
Hmm.
set.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll see. We'll see if there's any nice artifact based strategies for standard. All right. So this uncommon is Lay Down Arms. This is part of that cycle that cares about the basic lands or the basic land type that you control. It is 1 mana sorcery. It says exile target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of planes you control. Its controller gains 3 life.
I have not seen this card actually.
It's super sweet.
Especially with
Um,
like we have the the lands that are in like the basic land type. We have the tri lands. We have the uncommon lands to also have that. So you can have like all like dual lands in play and still have like 6 planes to play in this exile stuff. Like
yep,
4 is the perfect number for this because it hits a Shieldred, hits like Rafine. Mm.
yep. It only costs 1 mana.
I'm
And
glad this is sorcery. I'm
I
glad
mean,
this
I
is
don't.
sorcery.
Yeah, if this was instant, I think this
Ooh.
card would be busted.
It'd be
Um,
like older format playable, definitely.
yeah, yeah, but I think it's pretty good for standard. The idea of having the tri lands, like Joe saying in the chat, triomes,
Yeah,
the uncommon land, shocks, and stuff like this in other formats might make it playable in something outside standard. I think it's balanced by giving the controller 3 life of the creature it
that's fine.
exiles.
You play this
Um,
in a control deck, and you don't care if you give them 3 life, because once you're in control of the game, you basically win anyway.
yeah. So I think it's a sweet card. I think it's definitely a limited all-star. Um, and I think that this is probably 3 out of 5 playable for me in standard.
I'll agree with that.
All right. Awesome.
Definitely
Awesome.
3 out of 5, maybe 3.6 for me,
All right. All
maybe.
right. Get a couple extra half points there.
Yeah.
All right. Here's Loran of the Third Path, which is a white legendary creature. 2 and a white for a 2/1 vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. And you can tap it, and you and target opponent each draw a card.
Okay. Now I'm looking at this card. I'm like, it can destroy an artifact enchantment, so he's good just for that reason, for a 2-on with vigilance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a reclamation sage, right?
Now
That's in white.
with vigilance, but now that tap ability, sometimes you may not want to give your opponent a card, but if I have a shield red in play, your end step, if you're not I'd hit you for 2 and gain 2 life each turn, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And this might I definitely think I might use this in a deck with
And
shield
and
red.
you gain 2 life,
Mhm.
right? With your shield dread.
Mhm.
So like it's a 4-point swing with this that you get to also maybe attack with. And in this standard format that people are playing Reckoner Bankbuster,
Mhm.
Fable the Mirror Breaker, Unlicensed Hearse, Restoration of Viganjo. This card kills all of those cards if your opponent is on the play, plays any of them, and then you slam this after.
Yep.
Um,
And then it's like
it's
you can attack with him and then still tap him if they try anything to draw the cards. I think this was C playing standard, honestly.
yeah, and even like Joe says, anytime you get disenchant on wheels, it's good,
Mhm.
especially on cheap wheels,
Cheap.
right? Like
The vigilance is what I think makes this card really good to me.
yeah, yeah. But also to Big D's point, in the chat, right? He says shielded, Rafine, and this on the field is gas.
Oh yeah.
The downside is that this does compete for slots with Rafine,
True.
which might be it's probably a better 3-drop. Now, if the Esper deck becomes more lower in CMC and doesn't really care about going to the 5s often, stays like in the 3-4 range, um, you know, that's how it would
Oh
be.
yeah.
You have to compete, but this is also legendary,
But
like
but
Rafine
no,
is.
there's like different. You can play like Mardu with this, maybe. It doesn't
Hmm.
have to be Esper with this, but anything with white and black in it, I think you use this with Shieldred all day.
Yeah. Welcome to the stream. Margic K says, I'm new to the game. Is this coming in standard? Yes. So this is the Brothers War set that releases in paper this Friday, and it releases on Arena on the 15th, I believe. So you will be able to play with this new set on Arena soon, or in paper as of this Friday when the paper pre-releases are. So yeah, brand new cards. We're going over the uncommons, the rares, and the mythics. If y'all are just coming in the stream, welcome in. All of Matt Adams viewers, welcome as well. We're just reviewing some awesome cards here on the Wizards website, checking out the card image gallery.
Yes.
So playability,
Uh,
standard.
I think a 4.5. I think it's
Okay.
definitely going to see playing standard.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I'll give it slightly lower just because it's also legendary creature and because of that conflicting slot, but I'll say a 4. I think it's pretty playable in standard. For commander, I'd probably give this like a 2. Probably because you don't
No,
want to make your opponents draw cards in commander,
no.
but it is a white
So
reclamation sage.
the thing, okay, so for white and like, okay, it depends on your play group in commander. I'm okay with letting an opponent draw a card. I'm gonna pick the person who's getting mana screwed the whole game. Give them cards and give me a card and destroy something and still have them in play.
Oh, you're
That's
nicer than me in
that's
commander.
that's a this is card draw in white, which is fine. I'll take it all day.
All right, all right.
For commander, I'd give this a 5. Honestly, I'd play this in every
Okay,
white deck I have.
awesome. All right, all right. Let's see. This is an uncommon here, right? Loran, Disciple of History,
Okay.
is 3 and a white for a 3/3. Whenever it or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I think it's probably a limited all-star
Oh yeah,
to try to get cards back from your graveyard to your hand.
probably really good in commander as well.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it
Definitely could be commander playable.
might have a home in standard. Maybe if there's like an artifact, like so the legendary deck with the white black legendary zombie guy.
Uh-huh, Ratajabrick.
You got him. You got this. You can have like some good like artifacts you might want to bring back. Maybe your bank busters, your hearses. Those get blown up a lot,
They do.
and he can bring him back pretty easily.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I'll say that this is a limited all-star. Probably commander like 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah,
Standard, I don't know, maybe 1.5.
yeah. I mean,
Just
it
because it's
probably
really specific on what you can do with it.
that's true, but there is a legendary deck
Mm-hmm.
to be fair, but yeah, it might. We'll have to see, but you're probably right. It's probably like a 1.5.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So moving on, we go to mass production. Is 6 mana sorcery to make 4 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens.
This is a limited bomb. Like out, you want like if you see this in limited, I just take it because you don't want it played against you if it's not in your color. If it is in your color, you want to try to play it. I'd say at least 2. Try to find 2 because this
Yeah,
is a
so I agree. I think it's only playable in limited. I clearly the caveat is colorless soldier artifact creature tokens. So there's got to be some type of draft or sealed archetype where you're playing like
so
blue white artifacts, right? There, what you'll all see, chat, by the way, is there are some cards that buff artifact creatures. So in limited, this is going to matter more.
mhm.
But there's also soldier lords in this set,
Oh
as
yeah,
when we reach the uncommon multicolored, you'll see them too. So
there's a
I think this is a limited all star,
I agree. There's a
but
lot of
not much anything else.
there is a blue white soldier deck I think is gonna exist. But yeah, for draft and seal, this is where it's gonna say play. Not standard at all, and probably not commander either.
Let's move on. Let's see. Meticulous Excavation. 1 white for an enchantment to pay 3. Return target permanent you control to its owner's hand. If it has unearth, instead exile it, then return it to the owner's hand. Activate only during your turn.
Ooh, that's okay. That's definitely that's okay. That's cool.
I don't know how many times we're going to do it, or how much relevance it's going to have. Like, it just maybe protects your creature from time to time, but I don't see this card seeing any type of constructed play.
Yeah. If the
I mean,
act now,
maybe if you had a bunch of mana and like commander to bounce something back on your turn. to
True.
just keep casting a spell, maybe.
If it didn't cost 3 to use it, it might be a little better for standard. If you could do it on your opponent's turn, I think might see play. Unless you save your guys you unearth though.
Hmm.
So it's cool. I'll give it that.
Chat, I think this is the first card I'm going to give a 0.
Yeah,
A 0 out of 5 rating all around the board.
I'll have to agree with that.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, we got a mythic here.
Oh,
Myrel, Shield of
mm,
Argive.
this card. This card here is I think is amazing. It is gonna see standard play, definitely. I think.
I do certainly enjoy my Grand Abolisher
Oh yeah,
effects.
I love Grand
And this
Abolisher.
is definitely that. Um, Now, I think it's a little better than Grand Abolisher because it's got other things that your opponent can't do,
It's a
but also makes you colorless soldier artifact creature
hmm
tokens.
she's like your big top end and like the blue white soldier deck. It'll probably be made in standard. She's like a Krinko and a Grand Abolisher stapled together.
So, funny enough, so Adeline does not make soldiers. Adeline just makes 1/1 humans.
Thankfully,
But I feel like if you play Adeline into this card,
it's still good.
is probably pretty good.
Oh yeah. hmm
And especially like your opponent not to be able to interact with you during your turn when you are doing things.
Even if you're
Um,
not playing the soldier deck, this I can imagine going reckless storm chaser and then playing her and giving her haste.
yes.
Mm,
Yeah.
hmm
So a nice little Boros aggro deck with this card too.
There's probably
Might
some
be pretty good.
soldiers in red and white also,
Yeah. Joe says my only issue is no come into play effect. Gets instant killed on opponent's turn.
but they have to do it on their turn and use mana on their turn to do it. So
Yeah, it's like a little more resilient than Shieldred is, right? Because you could respond to Shieldred on your opponent's turn. This one you can't.
once
And
it
for
hits
sure,
one,
you have to respond on your own turn to get this off the board.
and if
So yeah, it dies to like the removal. So like
yeah, but
Soul Transfer,
e-
Hero's Downfall, what have you.
everything does though.
And notice like the notable difference on this card is that it is a 3/4. And when I say notable difference, there's like a red card in this format or in this set that's 2 mana that deals 4 damage
hmm
to a creature. So notably dies to that card in limited and in any constructed format. Big D says historic. I get to play the run. Oh, Maskwood Nexus.
Oh,
Yeah, you make everything soldiers.
hmm that's
It's
true.
true. So yeah, I'll give this like a. I think I'll give this a 4.5 for constructed
I
for
agree.
standard,
A 4.5.
and I think it's also pretty playable in Commander too.
hmm
In
I
any of the soldier decks. I mean, there's plenty
definitely.
of soldier / token decks in Commander, so I think this slots
I
them quite nice.
actually I would put this in my Joda commander deck I have in real life
Uh
because
huh.
it's more like a token deck, but I have Masquerade Nexus in there, so it's like I try to make copies of real things. So everything is a soldier, just like it's also everything's a sliver in an insect and an elemental. It's just it fits really well.
Mm-hmm.
So
So Big D, Circle of Loyalty is only for knights, not soldiers. So unfortunately, that doesn't work. But it does give creatures +1/+1.
true.
So that is it's still an anthem effect in that type of a
And
deck.
they're artifacts creatures too. So if you have anything that wants to play off artifacts like the Volt, that 1 mana instant where you can sack an artifact or creature, have it do 4 damage.
Mm-hmm.
It's Volt something. It's in standard right now.
Oh, Voltage Surge. Yes.
Yes, that
Yep.
that works really well with this. And as I said, they have to use their mana on their turn to kill it, so it makes it less likely to have answers. Like If you untap with her, I think you might. It's really hard to lose that game
Hmm.
because the turn after you play her, if you still have her, whatever you do, they can't stop it. They can't activate any abilities. They can't crew. Also, they can't activate abilities. Also, so they can't crew. They can't use anything to try
And
to
that's
interfere with
huge.
you. Hmm.
Yeah. That's awesome. So amazing card. So we want to open up all the Myrels,
Oh yeah.
both in limited and probably try playing with this card in standard.
Oh yeah, definitely. I consider it a 2 of in standard.
All right, let's see. Next up is Recruitment Officer, which is an uncommon. It's 1 white for a 2/1 human soldier, which is a relevant creature type now.
Yes,
Um,
and it's
it
human.
costs 3 and a white. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value 3 or less from among them and put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
I think this card's good.
It's definitely at worst a Savannah Lions. Any Savannah Lions fans in the chat? I know Joe's a Savannah Lions
Hmm.
fan. Um, but yeah, it's a Savannah Lions. It's a 2/1 for 1 white.
Yeah,
At worst.
at worst, and it's a human soldier, so for standard, the soldier like thing is still good. Even it being a human is good with like Catilda. Like
Hmm.
this and Catilda are real good because you drop this, then you drop the Catilda, so now it can tap for mana. You can play something else if you need to, and then
Yeah.
when you have enough stuff in play, you can start paying the 4 manager and ends up and trying to look for stuff to keep your like deck going fast, and it works good with the Power Stone tokens as well.
Hmm. And it's a nice little mana sink.
Hmm.
So that's for sure.
And it's not.
And you know what card it also finds?
Hmm.
It finds from Dominaria United the 2 mana Soldier Lord.
Mm, I forgot he
With
existed. I
and
haven't seen him.
I don't see a lot of people talking about the 2 mana Soldier Lord from Dominaria United, but that card is
Probably gonna see some
house.
play now. Maybe there's gonna be a
Do I
soldier
have
deck.
it?
I think is Thalia a soldier or a knight?
Oh, that's a good question. Valiant Veteran. Yes, that's the name of the card that I'm talking about. So let me see. Let me type it in the chat here. iCard. Valiant Veteran is a core soldier, 2/2. Other soldiers get +1/+1. You could pay white, exile it from your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on each soldier you control.
That's really good.
Doesn't care if it's a white soldier, red soldier, blue
And it's,
soldier,
if you're a
any
soldier,
soldier.
you're getting bigger.
Even the colorless tokens that the legendary creature gets you. It's crazy. So I'm wondering how fast of a deck a soldier based strategy is going to be. Thalia, iCard,
Yeah,
Thalia,
guardian of the faith.
Guardian of
I think
Ravens.
is he a knight or a soldier? This is a
Is a
soldier.
soldier,
Ooh,
human soldier.
ooh, that's good.
And already, even in the pre-Meat Hook world, Thalia into Adeline was very strong. So, like, adding all of these other cards that are going to back that up,
Soldiers, I think,
including
would
a
be a good
creature that
play.
lets you find more of them,
Hmm.
sounds pretty good to me.
And
So, I would say that this card is like 3.5 out of 5 for standard.
I agree.
Pretty decent in Commander, maybe 3 out of 5 if people are playing like a lower to the ground
Yeah,
soldier deck or human deck.
and for sealed
Um,
and draft, I go 4.5 out. Honestly.
yeah, this is also a very good card in sealed and draft. So yeah, I'm excited to play with this card.
Oh yeah, definitely. This card's really good.
All right, next up is Repair and Recharge.
Oh, wow.
It's 3 double white for a sorcery. Return target artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and create a tapped Power Stone token.
I didn't know it gave you a Power Stone token. I've always just stopped after returning one of those three into play. There's a lot of cards in this set I would bring back with this
Uh
easily.
huh. So definitely a sweet limited card, I
Hmm.
think, to play.
Oh yeah.
Definitely a playable commander card because, I mean, any of those card types are worth reanimating.
Oh yeah.
Um, and
It,
Standard, I don't think it's going to see play because usually the 5 mana reanimate spells of any kind don't see play in Standard. And one does exist right now, and I think it's 4 mana. It's like the Shieldred one. Reanimates a creature for 4 mana, and nobody
yeah, but
plays it.
it does a lot of damage too. I'd rather play the black green one that I think you can be an instant.
Oh, yeah, from Dominaria?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so for this though, there's a card in this set I really want to try it with, which we're going to talk about, but it's Portal to Phyrexia.
Oh,
I
yes,
would
we'll come up to
love
that
to
one.
bring it back with this.
It also works with all of the really big mana artifact cards that
Mm-hmm.
we'll see in a little bit.
Oh yeah,
Um, so,
I think
yeah,
this
we
has
can probably
potential.
revisit this. Yeah. All
Uh,
right, so let's
so
see.
currently, I think it's probably like a 2, but after the set comes out and we see, it might go up. I think.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Speaking of soldiers, here's this rare white soldier.
Mm-hmm.
2 and a white for a 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token.
I think that's good.
So it's a Luminarch Aspirant on a card, right? Because Luminarch and Aspirant did the same thing for 2 mana.
Yeah,
Plus,
but Lunar
when
Aspirant
your
also does
actual
one thing.
creatures die, you get another creature.
Yes, which is
I think
also
this
good.
is very good.
And the soldier deck, this technically is trying to fight the spot with Adeline, but I think you still play this as like a 2 of,
mhm.
regardless.
Yeah, I think this is a pretty good card. Now, Adeline itself is Adeline is a human knight. It's not a soldier. Okay, so we can't get any benefit if Adeline dies, but it can boost up those cards anyway.
I might use this with what's that enchantment called? It's the green hideaway.
Ooh, fight rigging.
Yes. I've been
Yeah,
wanting to make a fight rigging that can. This helps make it go off faster. I don't know.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, I think this is pretty constructed or standard playable. I would say probably like a 3.5 out of 5.
I agree.
And then of course this goes in literally any soldier
It's
commander deck.
splashable too because it only costs 1 white. Also, it's
I
really
think,
splashable.
and I think this is a bomb in limited.
Oh yeah.
You
Draft.
definitely want to pick this up.
If you see it, just take it. If you have 3Ds in play,
Yeah, just the static ability is really sweet. So pretty good card.
oh yeah, definitely.
All right, let's see. Soul Partition is an instant for 1 and a white. Exile target non-land permanent. For as long as the card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 colorless more to cast.
I think this card is very good. It goes in like the mono white like prison style deck with like Thalia. It's like the anointed protector guy, the 3-drop, the 3/3, the one I mentioned before.
So
Peacekeeper,
yes,
anointed peacekeeper.
more like Elite Spellbinder was in Strixhaven, because that had this effect. But it took a card out of your opponent's hand.
Yeah, this takes it away from the field.
Mm-hmm.
But like taking away like a non-creature spell, you have Thalias, and if you have anointed peacekeepers on it, it's like it makes it really hard for them to play their spells. And I think this is gonna be a good card. And what you could also do with it, you can protect your own stuff with this, and your stuff won't cost extra. It's only cost extra if it's your opponent's card.
Right. Yeah, and you can even recast your card.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if it's a card with a good, like, ETB or Enter the Battlefield effect,
Like, if they
this
try
works well
to
with that.
exile your Titan, you go, I'll exile it myself, and then I'll recast
And then replay it and blow up
replay
something
it.
else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a little interesting interaction. So yeah, I would say I would give this card a like 3 out of 5
Oh, yeah.
playability and standard.
I agree.
For Commander, I would say it's
It's like a two. I mean, it exiles anything, so it's like
yeah.
I think we'll probably see
I
playing
think
Commander. It's like
exiling like a combo piece in Commander with this card is pretty sweet.
oh
Even
yeah.
though your opponent can play it later for more mana, but
Now
still relevant interaction.
the older formats, this might see play. Like I'll exile a Greasefang with this and let them pay 5 mana for that one again if they want to play. That's fine.
Or exile the Parhelion.
Yes, I think I think would probably see a
The
lot of
the
play.
downside is though they still get the angels, right? With Parhelion.
Is it when it comes to player attacks?
Let me see.
I
I
don't
card
know.
Parhelion. I card. Oh, of course, there's more.
Parhelion.
Parhelion the second. When
Attacks.
it attacks. Oh, yes. So you could
This-
exile Parhelion with great when they reanimate it,
Yep,
and
then
they don't get the
exile it.
tokens.
Correct.
Mana to cast it
Like a ridiculous amount,
from
yeah.
exile.
Mhm.
Yeah. Although I think cards like Calamity's Wake going to be much better
Oh no,
than
there's
this.
a card that is better than this. So we're gonna come up in black, two in black.
Yeah. All right.
But
So
I think
let's
this
move.
will definitely see plenty of performance because they tend to try to go faster, so they won't have as much land in play generally. So it's easier for that card just to be a straight removal spell.
Mm-hmm. And here we have in Static Net, basically a Banishing Light type card
With upside. This is
with upside. It costs 1 more mana, so 4 mana, and then when it enters the battlefield, you gain 2 life and make a tapped power token.
That's fine.
Limited All-Star.
Maybe, but because it gives you the life and makes a Power Stone, there might be a place for this in Standard. That's a sideboard card. Because it technically ramps you for your big artifact spell, and it helps you gain life, which helps you survive against the aggro decks. It might.
I don't know. I think for that you have to convince me that the exile card is going to be better than Leyline Binding.
I mean,
and that card has flash.
I mean, if you're playing a 5-color deck, you definitely play Leyline Binding over this. This is for like your 2 or 3-color decks, I think. That's going to be artifact based.
Isn't there? Hold on. Isn't there still Borrowed Time as in Standard?
Borrowed Time is still in
and
Standard.
That costs 3 mana, right? I
True.
card Borrowed.
Well, this
Time.
gives you a Power Stone, so technically this costs 3 mana also.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives you 2 life.
Yeah. We'll see. I think it's mostly limited.
Yeah, definitely limited, I agree. But it might have a home in Standard. It just depends on the format. If there's a bunch of like good artifact decks, that Power Stone token might be good enough for this card to see play. Because it just gives you something else to play that it ramps you for like activated abilities to cast your other artifact spells and stuff like that.
I also like the art of this card,
oh, yeah,
chat, because it has tentacles in the back. And I can't help it, but every time I see art with tentacles in it, I'm like, this isn't Phyrexian. This is Eldrazi. But, you know.
I would love to see Emrakul fight Phyrexia.
Emrakul's still trapped in the moon.
She did that
supposedly.
herself. She can get out anytime she wants.
Allegedly. Oh, yes, lady. Thank you for the tentacles. Let's see. So the next is Thopter Architect. This is a 4-mana 2/3. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, target creature gains flying till end of turn.
This is a really good, like, limited bomb. This is a good card.
Especially when you get to play the card that puts X 1/1 colorless soldiers into play. Then just give a bunch of other things flying. And it doesn't have the caveat of only triggering once.
True. You can do it multiple times.
Yeah. So definitely limited all-star, but I think that's all.
Oh, yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah. Awesome limited card. Let's see. This card, Tocasia's Welcome, is 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn.
It's a welcoming vampire that's a lot harder to kill. I think it might see play in standard, just because of that. It's like it's harder to deal with technically than a welcoming vampire is.
I think I prefer Welcoming Vampire to this card because it's also a flyer.
True.
So,
I
like,
mean,
even though you don't have the caveat of being able to kill it as a creature spell, and it also fights for a slot with Wedding Announcement, which is the same mana value.
that's true. I mean,
And
so
man,
does
both of those
welcoming
cards are from
vampire.
Crimson Val.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably fine and limited because it's like a limited card that lets you draw. And that's always nice.
It's probably really good in Commander.
Mm-hmm.
Still, this card draw in white, which white always likes to have in Commander.
Yeah. But I think for standard, I'm going to give it a 1.5.
I'll give it a 2.5.
All right.
Yeah, it might do something.
See. Commons here. Oh, it's got the artifacts with white mana cost after at the end. Nice.
Okay.
Autonomous Assembler is 5 colorless for a 4/5, or it prototypes for 1 and a white as a 2/2. This card also has Vigilance, and you could pay 1 to tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on target assembly worker you control.
This card's
So, chat, just FYI for all of you, prototype is one of the new mechanics that says you may cast the spell for the prototype cost, and then it still keeps the abilities and types of the card. So if you pay 1 and a white for this card, it is a 2/2. If you pay the full 5 mana, it becomes a 4/5. Or if you happen to cast it for 2 mana and you blink it out of play, let's say with a card like Ephemerate, it re-enters the battlefield as the 4/5.
I feel like the prototype cards, they're going to be seeing playing standard, but like in historic, Ephemerate and stuff that blinks it is going to make them really strong.
Yorion decks.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I didn't think of Yorion.
Yorion decks, in my opinion, in Pioneer and Modern, you have Eldrazi Displacer.
Ooh.
And you probably
Thassa.
playing lowest producing lands. You have Thassa. Yeah, Thassa is also a card that exists. So, like, let's play these big creatures for cheap and then upgrade them.
Mm-hmm. There's a very good big creature that I think is going to definitely see standard play. We're going to talk about later.
And even if you play this card for 2 mana as a 2/2, it has Vigilance and the ability. So you can attack with it as a 2/2 Vigilance and pay 1, tap, and put a +1/+1 counter on itself.
Yep, it'll be a 3/3.
So it attacks as a 3/3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty good. I think a lot of these prototype cards that you all are going to see are pretty abusable.
Mm-hmm.
So Wizards is testing the power level of these cards. So we'll see how strong they are.
Wizards, they haven't been able to make a non-broken artifact set yet, and I feel like this set, I think they're still not. They don't know how. I think the prototypes are going to be too strong. Honestly,
we'll see. I think that I would give this a 3.5 rating for standard. Mm-hmm. I think it's questionable what they will be in other formats. But I think all the prototype cards are definitely playable in Commander.
Oh yeah.
And amazing limited cards too.
Oh, I would love that. I want multiple of these in limited, by the way.
Yes. Just draft or sealed all the assembly worker cards.
Wish we had changelings still in standard.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to drop a changeling right at this and be able to buff the changeling card as well.
Yep. Now this is an uncommon prototype, Combat Thresher. 7 mana for a 3/3, or 3 mana for a 1/1. But it has double strike, and when it enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card.
Maybe it's good and limited because it's a really big threat late game, but you can still play it early as a 1/1. And there's like different ways to put it. Like if you drop this after the 3-drop guy we just talked about, it puts a counter on something each turn. Hey, that's still good because he's gonna draw you a card,
Yeah,
and then he's a huge threat to success.
definitely nice and limited. Construct is a relevant creature type.
It is
But I don't think it's constructed playable.
probably
But
not.
but limited, yes, very much so.
Now, the Power Stone token generators. If there's enough good ones, you never know. This might be playable in standard. If there's enough good Power Stone playable cards, if you get enough of them, you can play this easily on turn 4 or turn 5 as a 3/3 with double strike that draws a card, which I'm fine with.
All right. Now we have another mythic. This is Platoon Dispenser, and it is a 5-mana 4/6 that says at the beginning of your, which is relevant, 4/6 for 5 mana is pretty good. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more other creatures, draw a card. You can pay 4 to make a 1/1 colorless artifact creature token, and you can unearth this for 2 double white.
Yeah.
That's a lot of text on a relevant artifact creature type.
So I know how I said the 4-drop chick that make dudes and was a Grand Ball Show was your top end for the Soldier deck. I think this is actually your top end.
Okay.
Because it's a 4/6 for 5, so it blocks really well for standard. It can draw you a card each turn because you're probably going to have a couple things the way it works good with wedding announcement still. And it's a threat all by itself because you can just keep making dudes each turn. You don't have to do anything else really. They have to answer it.
Now, would be interesting to me to play, just hear me out for a moment, in standard. Play this card with King Darien in your deck, right? Which is a lord for all creatures. And Storm the Festival.
Ooh.
Because you can hit this off of Storm the Festival. And then you have multiple mana sinks in King Darien or Platoon Displacer. And if you hit 2 creatures off of Storm the Festival and you have one other, it instantly draws you a card at the end step. And it's a pretty nice mana sink. And when they kill it, you reanimate it.
Yeah.
So
for the turn, it'll come back for haste
for a turn, yeah.
It's still good. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of Storm the Festival with this, and I love Storm the Festival decks. As you know, I've played a couple. So I would definitely use this for like the more like aggressive Storm the Festival decks. The more controlling ones, I still also might still use this. But there's another card I'd use in that the control version. What we'll talk about later.
All right. So I would give this like a 4 rating for standard.
I'd give it like a 4.5 definitely. It's amazing in Commander also. I'm gonna put that out there.
Yeah, we love our mana sink cards in Commander, y'all. If you get
this in Draft or Sealed, you just take it.
Slam.
Use it. Just slam it. It doesn't matter what color. It's costs 5 colors to play. Also, it's an artifact. Also, to point that out.
Exactly.
Even
so it makes it playable and.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Here's a rare. Steel Seraph is a 6-mana 5/4 artifact creature angel. You can prototype it for 1 double white for a 3/3 flying. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. So.
And it has prototype of colorless white to have it be a 3/3 flyer with the same effect, of course.
It's an angel.
It is an angel also.
So I can play Giada, and you all know on this channel how much I like playing the angel decks. I can play Giada on turn 2 without a land, cast this on turn 3. Beginning of combat, I can give something one of these very relevant.
I don't know if it's good in the angel deck, but it makes like all your answers have flying generally, so you never really want to pick flying. So you'd only pick vigilance or lifelink, which is still fine. Like, vi- and playing this for 6 is having be a 5/4 or a 6/5 with Giada in play probably is still good.
Yeah, I don't think it's better than Sanctuary Warden on 6. But it's definitely playable as 3/3. And to be honest, I think it does actually replace Inspiring Overseer in that deck, even
Yeah,
though that draws you a card and gains you a life. I mean, just this being relevant is at least a 3/3. It doesn't die to cut down, which is one of the
true.
top removal spells played in Standard.
Hmm.
Um, and
And it doesn't die
it
to go
doesn't
to the
die to
throat
Blood Tithe Harvester,
or go for the throat.
correct? Because it's an artifact.
Yes, this is gonna be good.
Yeah, I am excited to play with this card in Standard. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree.
That's because I'm Angel deck bias.
I
But
think you'll
it's
see play.
also a very relevant card in Commander.
Hmm. Also, I
It's like a
think there's
mini. I'm sorry.
uh,
Sorry. Go ahead.
was talking about the in chat. I think this will. I would definitely play this at 6 in the late game as a 5/4 flyer, giving
Hmm.
itself lifelink on your turn of vigilance. Like the fact that I can drop this on 3, and if you have 4 mana, I give it vigilance. You can't wandering Emperor it now.
Big D says getting too hyped when Terra Sunder is around.
That's also true.
Listen to me, Big D. We all know about Terra Sunder.
Yeah,
I'm aware more people are going to be playing that card in this format than they were in the old one. Um, let me live, yo. It also dies to the 3 mana white rare that we talked about. That's like Reclamation Sage,
that's true.
and it also most certainly dies to a Braid for 2 mana.
On
So way
either
to reprint
side,
those cards, Wizards.
and it dies to either side of a braid.
Yeah, yeah. So it is what it is, but it's okay. This is why we're gonna play Giada into this card and do some silly stuff. But yeah, very, very good playable in multiple formats. Even a bomb and limited at
Hmm.
making it as a 5/4, I think. Also, type Big D shut your
It
mouth.
does die to Titan of
Shh.
Industry also.
I'm aware. Let me be hype about my
But
angels.
I'll drop a Reckless Storm Chaser before this or after this, and I'll just give it haste and vigilance and just attack with it. This is a
Yeah,
good aggro card, honestly.
it is. It's very good.
Ooh,
Ooh, Urza's Silex.
okay.
I guess it wasn't enough with Karn's Silex and Dominaria United. So we've got Urza's Silex,
This is much better.
3 mana legendary artifact.
Mm.
You have to pay 2 and double white to tap and exile Urza's Silex. Each player chooses 6 lands they control. Destroy all other permanents. Activate only as a sorcery. When it's put into exile from the battlefield, you may pay 2 colorless. If you do, search your library for a Planeswalker card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Then shuffle.
Hmm.
Oh, one
So,
second. Mazikeen says in chat that
yeah.
you are low. Let me up your audio on my end.
So,
All right, go ahead.
the problem I have with this card, right? The fact that it says each player chooses 6 lands they control. Now, if you ramp this out and your opponent doesn't have 6 lands in play, they lose all their land. Because they can't. You have to pick 6 land. If you don't have the 6 land, they all go away. That's the
Yeah,
problem
because
I have with this.
it's not up to 6.
No.
Yeah.
So I have heard they're gonna, errata it to be up to 6 because it's really easy to ramp this out. And if you destroy all your opponent's land, and I still have a bunch of Power Stone things, so I can still play my artifacts, that'll make me real salty.
Yeah. It's no errata, please. Yeah, I agree with Big D. No errata, please. Let me blow up all of my opponent's lands in Standard, please. But
I
the
mean,
second part of the card,
it's good.
it lets you pay 2,
Get your
so you could
Teferi.
pay 6 mana and go get a Planeswalker
Go get
from your
your
deck and put it in your hand.
Elspeth, your Teferi, probably your Wandering Emperor, or your Teferi. One of those two, most likely.
Now the downside, like I would love to play this card in my uh commander deck, which is a Planeswalker
But it
commander
has
deck.
the white pips right there.
But I don't want to blow up my own permanents.
You
It's the
also,
only.
well, you can't because it counts as a white card.
My Planeswalker deck in commander is 5 colors.
Oh yeah, that. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
my
yeah.
Esca God of the Tree deck.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
So I don't know. I don't think this card is quite playable in standard. I'd
mm,
probably give it like a 2.5 and see if somebody tries to break it.
oh yeah,
Um,
I'll agree with that. If they don't errata it, I think it'll see play definitely. Honestly, because ramping this out with if you can get your 6 lands out before they do, and you can play it and pop it, and they
yeah.
lose all their lands, or they don't have a way to answer this, I it's just bad.
Yeah. I don't think it's any good in limited either. I think this is
Nah.
like a mythic I don't want to open up at the pre-release.
If you have a
But it
planeswalker with it, I think you do. Only if you have a planeswalker, then you can search it.
yeah, it definitely is a card that I will buy a playset of the foils and just like keep it to the side in hopes that one day it becomes playable in some other formats.
Now, here's the another thing. If let's say I play this on 6, right? I have 3 men up, and they play a card to exile it because they don't want their stuff blown up. I can pay 2 because it's leaving play and going to exile. I can go get a planeswalker.
Yeah, so if Big D for some reason decides to cast Terra Sunder on Urza Silex and I have mana up, I can pay 2 and tutor for
Yes,
a Planeswalker,
that's fine.
which is pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, you would definitely want to Terra Sunder this if your opponent plays it. Honestly.
Yeah. All right. And this is. Oh, I mean, we could talk about this card, but it's pretty self-explanatory.
Oh yeah, it's
It's a
gonna
nice
sit.
little 1 mana soldier for limited, and that's just about it.
Uh,
When it attacks another target creature you control, gets +1/+1 ton of turn.
I mean, it might be
It
playing the soldier
unearths,
deck.
so it has haste.
The soldier deck might want to use this because it's a soldier. It's like your turn 1 play, and it helps you make any of your other creatures bigger when he attacks.
I don't know. I think I want to play the one that searches for more things over this card.
I
The
mean,
unearth is nice, and the other soldier doesn't have the artifact type. Um, I mean, I think this is probably good and limited.
oh yeah, I mean, I think you definitely want to play multiple 1-drops in the soldier deck, and I think this is your other 1-drop.
Mm. All right. Let's see.
Or it's just a good Boros aggro card. I'd play this on 1.
Yeah.
Play something with haste on 2, swing in, pump the other thing. Always try. Oh, you have 2. They just keep pumping. They pump each other, and then you can bring them back. I'll give it
All right.
a 2.5 chance.
All right. I'd probably give it like slightly lower, maybe like 2,
That's fair.
but limited.
That's
Very
fair.
good. So I think for the sake of time, we will just go to doing the rares
Okay. That's fine.
and mythics, so we're not stopping at like every
Yeah.
uncommon.
Yeah, I'll say Defabricate's gonna see play.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Counter
Definitely.
artifact or enchantment spell, hard counter for 2 mana.
Or you counter
Hello.
any activated triggered ability. That's fine.
Stifle for 2 mana.
I'll counter your Titan of Industry effect. Thanks, bro.
Yes. We definitely have to do that, especially since Big D wants to destroy my angel, which is not nice.
I'll counter that Silex if you try to use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's see here. Blue, we've got Drafna, founder of Latnam. It's a 1 and a blue for a 2/1. You can pay 2 mana to return an artifact you control to its owner's hand. Or you could pay 3 and tap to copy an artifact spell you control.
This is interesting.
I think this is a commander card, and that's about it.
I agree with that. Commander or Brawl?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I think it might be okay and limited just for copying the artifact spell purposes.
I would love to
Um,
copy Bank Busters or briefcases with this, though. Mind you,
yeah,
that'd be cool. Make it.
copying that blight steel easy, says Big D.
Oh yeah.
Yikes! I hope somebody doesn't copy blight steel with this.
Mm,
But yeah, I think this is just a commander card. I don't think it's seeing any type of standard play.
nah,
Many better cards than this.
I agree.
Let's see, Hercule Master Wizard, which by the way, chat, Hercule Master Wizard is a rare in the set, but there are misprints in paper where it might have a mythic symbol on it,
Mm,
but it is on the rare sheet, not the mythic. So you might get one that looks like a mythic, but it shouldn't count towards the amount of mythics you're supposed to get per box.
okay.
So just FYI. But otherwise, it is a 2/4 for one and double blue that has that nice little wizard type on it. It says at the beginning of your end step, if you've cast a non creature spell this turn, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. For each card type among non creature spells you've cast this turn, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand, and the rest in your library on the bottom.
Uh, I mean, it's a 3-mana 2/4, so it's decent stats. S- And in a control deck, I mean, if it's in play, I play something kill your thing. I get to draw a card off of it. Like, that's okay. Maybe, maybe.
Commander card.
Oh yeah, commander definitely. Yeah. I also was trying to think.
I would 100% play this in Azami in mono blue wizards
Mm,
in Commander because it's pretty sweet. It gets you one instant into another or one sorcery into another.
yeah.
So it's pretty nice playability there. It's like draw a card on a stick basically at end step. If you are like heavy combo, might not be your best option.
True.
But if you're playing more of a control-y strategy in Commander, I think this is just a fine card.
I mean,
It definitely works well in like Brawl,
oh
right?
yeah, it's
Brawl is
really
like
good.
one in a blue.
Oh,
And
oh
that's a
yeah,
pretty good
brawl.
played
It
card.
might be a good brawl deck also.
Uh huh.
It probably won't
Yeah.
see playing standard, but it has a decent stat line. Dot it dodges some stuff. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's like I'd give it a 2 in standard, unless someone finds a way to make it really good.
I'll say a little less. I'll give it a 1 in standard, but I think it's
Yeah.
going to be I think it'll be a sweet commander card.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Let's see. Oh, Hercule's Final Meditation
I I I
is
don't I don't like this card just because I don't like having my turn ended on my draw step.
and returns all land permanents to the owner's hands.
They didn't need that. This didn't need to
As long
happen.
as it's not your turn, it costs 3 more. So
Yeah.
this card either costs 10 mana at instant speed or 7. So it Cyclonic Rifts everybody, plus ends the turn for 7 mana. Arcane Bombardment, baby.
Ooh.
Don't you dare.
No.
No, this would bounce. Hold on. Big D, this would bounce your Arcane
Yeah,
Bombardment
yeah,
back to your
it'll work
hands.
once,
Yeah. So
but
because it's not like Cyclonic Rift that's one-sided. It's bouncing all your stuff too.
man, I wish this exiled itself so they couldn't rebuy it though. But someone's
Yeah.
gonna make a deck with this on ladder, and I'm gonna get hit by it and get really mad. Uh,
I look forward to somebody trying to use this card against me in standard. I don't know that it's going to happen, but it's going to be annoying as hell to play against in Commander, that's for sure.
Oh yeah,
More Cyclonic Rift effects.
I think they pressed it to the point where probably won't see playing standard.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I really don't. I hope that card doesn't see play, but it's really good though.
What about this one?
This is one of those
One with the
cards I want to
multiverse.
bring back with that white sorcery that brings back artifacts, enchantments, and planeswalkers. I'm gonna bring this back.
Yeah. So bin this and then reanimate it for 5.
Hmm.
It says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. And once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost.
I feel like it's gonna be good in Commander.
For
Let's throw that
sure.
out there. Yeah, but like if you're able to like get this down with like there's a couple cards in Standard to bring back enchantments actually. So
Hmm.
maybe if there's like a ramp deck you could use this with, I think it has potential depending on how the format is. But it probably won't see playing Standard. But
Yeah, I think it's a little slow for standard. 8 mana is a lot.
I'm surprised it only
Um,
costs 2 blue. Normally cards like this cost 3 or 4.
yeah, cross between Fires of Invention and Omniscience. Oh, that's a good comparison, Big D.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely Commander All Star.
Oh yeah, Commander definitely. We'll see if I'm definitely gonna try to use this at some point as well with that the white sorcery. Bring this back, play something else for free.
I can tell you, I will put this in my Nico Bolas Historic Brawl deck.
It's going in all my brawl decks too.
I think Big D. By the way, and I know you have a Goshen tie deck too, Matt Adams. This is a auto include in that deck
Mm.
for sure. Cast shrines off the top of the deck with this seems pretty good to me.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's see. Over here we've got Sky Strike Officer, which is a 2/3 flyer for 3 mana. Whenever it attacks, you make a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Tap 3 untapped soldiers you control to draw a card.
I think this will see play. And like, that's really strong.
You know what card this reminds me of? This reminds me of Crypt Breaker.
Crypt
Crypt Breaker, I will put that in the chat. It's a zombie.
Mm.
I think it's called Crypt Breaker. Yes, it costs 1 black. It's a 1/1 zombie. You can pay 1 and a black to discard a card and make a zombie token, or tap 3 untapped zombies you control, draw a card, lose a life. So it reminds me a lot of this card for that secondary ability.
Yeah. Except you
But
don't
it's
lose life.
also a 2/3 flyer and generates you tokens without having to
And it's
like
in
tap outside of
blue.
attacking.
So
Now this does fight for slots with Haughty Gen, obviously in standard.
yeah, but
I don't know if you could play both of these though.
I don't know if I'd use this in mono blue. I'd use this like the soldier deck is gonna be blue white.
Hmm.
Definitely, it's gonna be blue white. So dropping like a Thalia and then dropping him is gonna be real strong. You go 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drop. You play the 4 drop on 4, and you play the 5 drop. You're gonna have a bunch of soldiers in play. There are artifacts also that could matter.
Yeah, and the 4-drop mythic that's going to make you
Draw
soldiers
more
equal to your
cards.
soldiers, and then you get to tap them on end step
Hmm.
and draw cards. Just refills your hand. It seems pretty good to me.
Oh yeah, I think it'll see play. This
Now,
not in decks that have Rafine or Haughty Gen is what I'm
right.
gonna say. The blue there's gonna be a blue white soldier deck. It's probably a mid rangey deck. I think not in aggro deck. I think.
The other downside is this card does die to cut down. So you just have to be relevant of that. You know, if
Well,
that continues to be one of the most played removal spells in standard, at least.
but if you drop the Lord before him, because the Lord costs 2
And the Lord is
soldier.
the Lord is a 2/2.
True.
But there's the 4 mana Lord
Hmm.
that is a 3/3. So
But if I drop
you know,
the 2 mana Lord, then I drop him. You can't cut down him because the Lord's in play.
right? You'd have to cut down the Lord, and then you protect it again by playing the 4 mana Lord.
Yes.
that neither of the cards would be able to be cut down. So if you can go turn 2 Lord into turn 3 this into turn 4 the other Lord, seems pretty good to me.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe 4 out of 5
Oh yeah.
for standard play,
I agree. 4 out of 5.
and then whatever token shenanigans you've got going on in
Commander.
Commander, of course.
Sealed, you just take it. Sealed draft,
Yes.
just take it. You get as many as you want because it flies. It doesn't matter, and it makes dudes every turn.
Yeah.
Ooh. So.
And here we go with this Planeswalker, y'all.
So earlier.
So no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say earlier. I was talking about the other card I would use for my Storm the Festival deck. This is the other card I'd use in my Storm the Festival deck.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty good. So if this is your first time chat seeing Teferi, everybody gets scared when they see a Teferi printed. Teferi is the new Wizards Mickey Mouse, since they've thrown Jace off to the side after Ixalan. But it is a 5 mana, 4 loyalty Planeswalker, mono blue. It has a static ability, which generally is dangerous with Planeswalkers. It says whenever you draw a card, put a loyalty counter on Teferi.
Mm.
You can pay 0 to draw a card, which really is +1 it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can -2 to make a 2/2 spirit with vigilance that says whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
Oh, it has vigilance? I didn't
Yes.
know that. I did not know it
It
had
doesn't
vigilance.
fly though, but it has vigilance. It is relevant.
It's fine.
You can't kill it with Wandering Emperor. So that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
And then its ultimate -12 is target opponent chooses a permanent they control and returns it to its owner's hand. Then they shuffle each non-land permanent they control into its owner's library.
Mm. So there's gonna be a game where someone goes Underdog, Rafine, Shieldred into Teferi, and you're like, oh, okay. Well, I guess I lose because that's hard to fight.
I imagine it has to be.
Mm-hmm.
The question I have in standard though is that better than what they're currently doing, which is either after you play Shieldred or before holding mana for Wandering Emperor or playing AO on 5.
Might be better than AO in that deck, honestly.
I don't want to say that this Teferi is like overhyped. I don't think it's overhyped, but I don't think it's.
I think it's better than AO in that deck.
I don't know. I mean, AO is a 5/4. The plus side is that this 5/4 flying vigilance, which is relevant. But this card does get around, obviously, creature removal.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do a fantastic job of protecting itself.
I mean, yeah.
If you minus it when it comes out, it goes to 2 loyalty. And then they can like vaulted surge it in response to your draw step so it dies.
Well, generally, if you -2, hopefully you have like it's in a deck with Rafines or Gix also.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him later. But like you -2, you attack a Rafine, you probably draw 3 cards. The token becomes a 5/5. He goes up to 6 loyalty then.
Yeah.
I think he's like I wouldn't honestly drop him like on 5. If they're playing red, I'd want to save him for like turn 6 or 7 so I have like a counter to protect him
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, or a instant speed way to draw a card.
Yeah, it definitely works well with cards like Consider, Thirst for Discovery, Scrutiny. Yeah.
Scrutiny in this card.
And Scrutiny is an X.
Yes.
So imagine like having this guy out and at 6, and then you Scrutiny on turn 6 to draw 4. So it goes to 10. plus any other effects you might have.
So on 6, he'd go to you. So you'd play him, you'd zero him. He'd go to 5. You draw a card, go to 6. So yeah, go to 10. That's
It's
just.
going to be a lot of loyalty on this.
I
Fable
so
gets better. Fable, yeah, Big D. Fable works well with this card.
the other Red Saga, the Elder Dragon War, lets you discard any number.
Yes.
There's gonna be probably a red, blue, white deck, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Lackluster. I
I'll
think
give it
I'm
a
gonna
4 out
give
of
this a
5 for
5.
standard.
I'm gonna give this a 5 for standard.
5? Okay.
It's gonna
In
see play in a lot of
Commander,
decks. Oh, this
in
card's gonna
Commander, I
be
think it's
disgusting.
playable.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of ways to draw cards in Commander, though.
I'm kind of like, I'm a fan of planeswalkers that can ultimate when you have doubly one-sided. Now, if you have, or only targets one player, right? It doesn't like affect the whole board. Now, if you have 4 mana Teferi from the core set in a 4-player pod, and this out at the same time, when you plus that 4 mana Teferi on everyone's turn, this one also gets a loyalty counter each of those times, which is pretty sweet. So those two cards play well with each other. So, yeah, so definitely a good commander card and a pretty good standard card, I think.
One
Let's
moment.
see. Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Yes, honey?
All right. So while Matt Adams is checking that out, I guess I'll start talking about Urza's command, which is the blue command in this command cycle. It is a 4 mana instant, so 2 and 2 blue, that you choose 2. Creatures you don't control get -2/-0 until end of turn. Create a tapped Power Stone token. Create a tapped 0/0 construct that gets +1/+1 for each artifact you have. Or scries 1, then draws a card. I agree, Big D, that this is kind of a disappointing card. I'm surprised that Urza's command doesn't at least like counter target spell for 4 mana, to be honest. But it does give the one Urza ability of making a construct token. And I guess they had to make it fair by making the constructs come into play tapped. Because I have to imagine if this could at instant speed put this thing on the battlefield untapped, it would be very good. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I mean, the scry 1, draw 1 is nice. Not worth it for 4 mana. I don't think that creating a tapped Power Stone token is going to matter a majority of the time. But probably the 2 most chosen options from Urza's commands got to be the making a construct and scrying 1, drawing a card. I have to imagine.
I have returned.
All right. I was just talking a little bit about Urza's command.
Oh yeah, that's the best command, I think, honestly.
Yeah.
I have to feed the little one, so.
Oh, it's all right.
Yeah.
I think it's a good card. I'm disappointed by it. I really wish that this card would have countered a spell in addition to what it did.
I mean, yeah, I can understand that, but it's kind of like the Urza that's used in Modern.
Yes. Yeah, the 4 mana Urza.
I still think this is probably the best command. That's because it's instant.
Yeah. And the other, I know chat was saying earlier that they thought that the red command might be the best, so we'll eventually get to the red command to see what it does, because honestly, God, I don't know.
Honestly,
I don't know what it does. But
now that I think about it, they might be right.
But we'll come back to that. I would give this card in standard maybe like 2.5 out of 5.
I'd give it a 3. I'd give it
Probably
a 3.
better in limited, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's better cards in Commander that you can choose for 4 mana at instant speed than this. All right, let's see. Ooh, Arcane Proxy. Ooh,
Ooh.
7 mana, 4/3. It is a colorless artifact creature wizard. So you can either cast it for 7 mana as a 4/3 or prototype it in play for 1 double blue for a 2/1. And when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, exile an instant or sorcery with mana value less than or equal to its power from your graveyard, copy it, and you may cast it without paying its mana cost.
Um, this is okay. I mean, Torrential Gearhulk saw play. He was 7 mana, I think. But he did have
6.
flat. He was 6?
Yep.
I swear he got 7.
I,
Okay.
I played a lot of games with Torrential Gearhulk in those
Well,
formats.
but he had flash. But now, I
And it
think
was a
this.
5/6.
That's true. That's very true. But you're able to play this for 7 colorless, which might be relevant because there's, again, plethora of ways to get the power stones to play him. But
Yep.
even playing him for 3 for 2 is still like you can get a decent removal spell or a draw spell, which is fine.
Yep. And it's equal to its
Power?
mana value less than or equal to its power. So
So,
you can only ever get a 4 mana spell from the
well,
yard or less for 7, or 2 mana
if
or
you had
less
like an
with
anthem
3.
effect in play or something to make it bigger.
Yes, that's true. You could have anthems in play. You could also pump it
I would honestly
when you
use
cast
this
it.
in a deck with Wedding Announcement, maybe? Because that gets flipped a lot.
It's true.
And
Yeah.
then, the 3 mana one gets you like a 3 drop or less. And then if you play for 7, it gives you a 5 or less.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this might see play just because it lets you reuse some of your like good removal or draw spells or ramp. And it's
I
decent late game.
I think I would give this like a 2.5 in standard.
Hmm.
I want to say it's probably abusable in modern.
Oh yeah.
Somebody will break the card.
Well, you have to cast it to get that effect. 'Cause that's they made it. They put a safety net on it just in case. This
So in
is.
modern, a while ago, there used to be a mono blue Tron deck,
Mm,
and the win conditions in mono blue Tron was like Memnarch and Platinum Angel.
ew.
And so I think that this card fits in mono blue Tron because that deck also played counter spells and bounce spells. And it conveniently costs 7 colorless, which is
Mm,
castable off of Natural Tron.
true. I think this would definitely see play in some way. It's okay, Commander. It's just okay.
Bruh, big D. I mean, Terra Sunder is 2 and 4.
It's true. I mean, like, yeah.
Please.
If you have like a blue-green deck in standard, I'd use this. You could rebuy your Terra Thunders with it. Yeah, I think this will
Yeah.
see play. I'll give it like a 3.
Okay. All right.
If it had flying, I think it'd definitely put it over the top. It looks like it has flying.
Yeah.
Someone's
It
gonna
does. It kind of does look like it might have
in
flying.
paper, someone's gonna lose that because they're gonna think it has flying because they're not
Yeah.
gonna actually take a look at it. On Arena though, you're gonna know.
Now
Ooh,
this card, Surge
that
Engine,
card's silly.
is only 2 mana for a 3/2 defender. You can pay a blue to make it lose defender and gain unblockable.
Mm,
You can pay 2 and a blue to make it blue and have base power and toughness 5/4. And then you can pay 6 to draw 3 cards. Activate only if it's blue and only once.
which is fine. I mean, I this probably goes in mono blue easily.
Man, if there was ever a card that was just better than Delver of Secrets
It's
in
this.
that deck, it's got to be this card Granted, it's not a cheap one drop that you could just throw out there and hope to hit your opponent for 3 the next turn, but it does become a
2-drop.
card that you can pay a blue, and still hold 2 mana for a counter spell or draw spell or bounce spell
Mm-hmm.
and start hitting your opponent. That being said, it also dies to cut down.
True.
So maybe that card's keeping that in check. It conveniently doesn't die to go for the throat
I
because
mean,
it can't hit this card.
so you play it on 2. On 3, you can attack with it for a 3/2. So they have to cut down it on 3. But on 3, you can pay 1 and then leave up a counter spell. And then the next turn on 4, you make it a 5/4 so they can no longer cut down it.
Yeah, so Big D asked in chat, he said, is ninjutsu still a thing?
Mm-hmm.
Standard. So you could go all the way and pay 6 to draw 3 cards with this card, and then you could attack with it and ninjutsu it back to your hand, put a ninja in play, and do it all over again.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but
Honestly, I
it
might
works out.
say this could be used in control as a finisher. That's because it's an unblockable 5/4.
Unblockable 5/4.
I mean, I have to hit you 4 times for you to lose, basically. And I can leave counter spells up, or this is gonna get like protected with like Tamiel's protection, the blue one that gives it hexproof.
Right?
Yeah, this card's gonna be really good. And it's gonna be annoying to try to get rid of.
Yep, it's very good. So I would probably give this like a 4
I agree.
out of
4.
5 for standard playability.
Definitely.
I don't know if it's too good in like
Ooh.
Commander or anything like that. It's probably a limited bomb.
Oh yeah, take this in limited. Big D has a point. I would use this in my Ascendancy deck.
Oh yeah, you can give it
Mm.
+1/+1 counters.
Mm-hmm. And make it unblockable. Oh no. I don't even need.
Even if you played this on 2 and played Ascendancy on 3, then it can't get cut down
True.
unless they kill it right away.
Yeah,
You
I
know.
mean they have to though. This
Yeah.
definitely has a humongous target on its back. Like if I play this on 2 and you cut down it, and then I'll play Hottigen on 3, it's like, do you have another cut down? I hope
Yeah.
you do. And this doesn't get go for throated. Also,
Nope.
which this is really relevant.
Yes, it's a pretty good card. I'm excited for
It's
Surge
definitely
Engine.
gonna see play. Yeah.
All right, let's see. The Temporal Anchor is 3 triple blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 2. Whenever you choose to put 1 or more cards on the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom of your library. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with the Temporal Anchor.
I mean, this is cool. I don't think it'll be good in standard.
No, I don't think this is a standard card.
Commander though.
Yes.
I'd use this in Commander. The Skrylands in this would be nice. Actually.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna
This
use
definitely
this in
works
Brawl.
well with that. It works well with Nissa, Steward of Elements,
True.
which scries you, and that card already costs X to play.
Very true.
But I think it's abusable in Commander for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know what card it really works well with in Commander? It works really well with Ashiok Nightmare Muse, which is in blue-black, because Ashiok's ultimate lets you cast 3 face-up cards from exile for free. So if you put all like big spells that you scry at the bottom with this, and you ultimate with Ashiok, you probably win.
It has to be exiled with Ashiok for Ashiok's effect, though.
No, it doesn't.
It
It's
doesn't?
any cards face up in exile. Yeah. It's super sweet. And the other night, I actually won a game of Commander with it at FNM. Well, the other night, 2 weeks ago. My opponent played some red card that exiled the top 3 cards of their deck, and they could play them until the next turn. And I ended up ultimating Ashiok and casting their Enter the Infinite. And winning the game off of it. But yeah. It is Ashiok Nightmare Muse. High card, Ashiok Nightmare. Oh, here we go. Yeah. From cards your opponents own. Oh, your opponents own in exile. Excuse me. Can't cast it with your own. Never mind, chat. It don't work that way. It's only ones your opponents own. Daggers.
Really?
No abusing Ashiok then. But it's okay.
Oh yeah, it'll stay playing Commander. I mean, okay. Even I still it lets you scry 2 each turn, which is still strong. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Ooh,
Tasha.
Tasha.
Ooh.
Tasha has to be cards with page counters on it. For the paper version, anyway. Because Tasha is different in Arena. It's not the same card. Yeah, Tasha in Paper Magic says the cards exiled with a page counter on it.
I want to use this with like a lot of these artifacts. I want to use with the Tamishi.
Oh, sure. Where you can bounce things back.
Well, you can bring them back from your grave into play.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Which could definitely be like if you have like a ramp deck. I'm definitely gonna make a deck with her. And this, cause I already have a Tamishi deck. It's just like there wasn't enough good artifacts or enchantments, but now I think there are. Let's see.
What about this card, yo? 7 mana, 6/4. When it attacks, defending player mills half the library rounded up, and you can unearth it for 4.
I mean,
incredible. Big D says incredible. I definitely would love to. I like the cards that say my opponent mills half the library. The downside is if you mill graveyard like interactive cards with it.
you just exile their grave after you attack. With the
Oh yeah, you
Calamity's
could.
Wake.
Oh, Big D, we have to attack with this card and mill half libraries and then Bajuka Bog the opponent after. That sounds like a commander thing that's going to happen.
This will
in
see
our play
playing
group.
Commander, definitely.
And limit. I think it's a limited all-star.
If you get this in draft, I think you win. You just swing. I'll take half your deck. Good luck.
It also conveniently costs 7 colorless mana.
For Urza.
So I can tap my Urza lands and slam this card on the battlefield on turn 3. And hope it doesn't get path exiled.
What do you think of... Probably not for standard, because it's 7 mana for control. I'd rather play Shipbreaker Horror.
Mm-hmm.
But when he rotates out, maybe this card might have a spot for in control as like a finisher.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it's... I'm going to just straight up give it a 1 rating for standard.
Yeah,
and then... Oh,
maybe
Big D, we can Gix it onto the battlefield.
Ooh,
you are right.
Actually, that's...
Wait a second.
I'll give it a 3.
We can play
sets, maybe.
We can play a Grixis deck where we can play Fable the Mirror Breaker and Gix.
Oh no, copying this with Fable.
In this, and we can even unearth it for 4.
And then copy it with Fable. And
then...
Oh
no, yes, you can
Okay, this might actually see standard play, maybe?
Hold on. Are we copying this with Kiki-Jiki?
Of course. And then you make them mill half their deck twice.
And take 12, because the thing is a 6/4.
They probably lose us and losing half their deck twice, honestly. Because they...
Oh my goodness.
This might actually beat C play. Just for that reason.
I think we're gonna have to brew with this card. All right, I'll give it a 2.
There's a lot of the cards they spoil, but we already went through them. Also good with Kiki-Jiki.
Yeah.
There's one in particular coming up soon that is disgusting with this card. With the Kiki-Jiki.
Yeah. All right. So we've been through white and blue.
Yep.
I think what I'm going to do for time's sake, because it's approaching midnight, my time, is I'm going to scroll down to lands, and then we can come back maybe tomorrow or Wednesday and do some more colors, if you don't mind.
That's fine.
let me go down
We could
to
talk about
where's
maybe like a few specific cards if you want. Also,
yeah, let's do so
like
the lands really aren't much, right? The lands are the pain
it's yeah, the
lands.
Pain Lands, Blast Zone's good.
Blast Zone is back.
That's
I
a good
remember
card.
playing with this card in standard the first time.
It's gonna see play.
Yep, 100%
Specifically,
standard
I'm gonna
playable.
use this with Slow Gurk and Windgrace.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
just keep reusing it.
yes, yeah. We can keep reanimating this card with Windgrace. It's some
hmm
great interaction. I also want to talk about as a notable is Demolition Field, which for all intents and purposes is Field of Ruin, right?
Makes sense.
It destroys the non-basic land an opponent controls, and then that land's controller may search their library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield. And then you may search your library for a basic land card and put it on the battlefield. So you don't have to search, but you can. I think that's the only
Probably.
difference between this
It's
and Field of
fixed
Ruin.
for Commander.
Yes, because Commander makes each
Everyone.
opponent search for land,
And
right?
that ramps people, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So I know I still see some people playing Field of Ruin now on standard from time to time.
This will replace it probably.
I'm curious if people are going to try to play both,
Uh
but who knows?
Man, if you're playing a 5 color deck and I use this on you and you don't get a basic land, I'm slow gurking and wind
Blowing
gracing
up
all your lands
everything.
away.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's gonna be a probably a decent deck too. Let's see what else.
What is this? This is the Soldier Blue White land, right?
Yep. That's for the blue white soldier deck,
Enters the battlefield tapped unless you revealed a soldier or controlled a soldier.
which is fine.
And then it taps for blue or white, but it also pay 5 tap soldiers you control get +1/+1.
It's I. This is another reason I think the soldier deck was sleep play because they have a land. I don't know why they
They have
made
multiple
this.
lands, right? Because you have a Darker Wastes in the Pain land.
True, there's a lot of blue white lands. Then there's
You
the
have
you
Thrangate,
you called. I don't know if I used.
just as an untapped multicolored source. You know what I mean?
It's untapped on like turn 2 or 3, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather use the land where you call a creature type, and you tap it for
Oh, yeah.
two.
Secluded Courtyard.
Yeah, you just call
And you have
soldier.
Deserted Beach from
Yes.
Innistrad.
There's a
So
lot of
yeah,
blue
you
white
have a
lands.
lot of blue white multicolor or dual lands for that deck.
A land I want to use but probably won't see play is the one that makes a Power Stone token each turn.
Is that this one?
Yeah,
Hall of Tagsin.
yeah.
Yeah. So it either taps for colorless, filters for
Filter.
any color, or makes a power stone.
I like it. I will use my Power Stones for this definitely. I use a Power Stone to add a mana of any color, or use 4 Power Stones to make another one. I think this is okay as like a one of.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I'm probably gonna give it like a 2.5 for standard.
I agree.
I think the card is playable in Commander.
Oh yeah.
In any of the artifact strategy decks, even though it's not an artifact land, just the ability to make tapped artifacts
Yeah.
is
Probably
sweet.
not playable in Drafter Sealed though. Honestly, I don't think it's good enough.
Maybe. I mean, the plus side is that it taps for a colorless mana. So you
True.
could still play it in limited. I don't think you would pick it in draft, but you would
Mhm.
definitely play it in sealed deck.
I mean, if you're for some reason playing like a like 3 or 4 color deck, I can see you definitely trying to maybe play this because it helps filter your lane.
Mm. Probably going to be better in like the white base decks because they seem to want to create power stones for positive abilities in the set.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
and then there's Mishra's Foundry,
Which is an
which
assembly
is the
worker.
buy a box promo.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is in the actual set. So it's like Law and War Loam Speaker from Dominaria United.
Yeah.
So this either taps for a colorless or pay 2 to make it a 2/2 assembly worker artifact creature token to end of turn, or pay 1 tap target attacking assembly worker gets +2/+2.
Now, we just talked about that guy that you can put a counter on an assembly worker.
Yep.
I would use this in that the deck with him just because you can use it to pump you can put counters on the land,
Yep.
which is always good. Or you can use him to pump the other guy. This is good.
Very playable card. I expect to see this in standard.
Oh yeah.
I'll give it like a 3.5
I,
because
I,
it's probably only playable in
yeah,
one or two types of decks.
I agree.
And it's
Now,
definitely a commander staple
hmm
in any artifact deck for sure.
definitely.
Um, and this card is really good in limited. I'm not going to be sad to open this card
Um,
as a land.
yeah, cause it's a 2/2 for 2. It's fair. If you
Yep.
can get multiples, it's better, cause then you can start to pump them.
Yeah. So
Or
it's
if you
pretty
can give it
sweet.
vigilance. That uncommon land right there, though. The site.
Dig site.
Yes.
Ooh, taps for colorless or surveils.
I think I will use this in control because I can surveil at the end of turn if I'm trying to put stuff in the grave.
Mm-hmm.
It's only surveil 1, but that's can still be really strong.
It's definitely a commander playable land.
hmm
That's
I
for sure.
I'm gonna try it in standard just because it can help filter your draw and control. Honestly,
I really do enjoy that they're printing like common and uncommon lands in standard like this that have
good abilities.
playability besides
hmm
just like tapping for a colorless. Like a good example of that is that reliquary land that's in standard right now that you could pay to tap, sack it, and like draw a card if you have an artifact, and draw another card if you have an enchantment.
Yes, that card's pretty good as well. Yeah.
And this you don't even have to get rid of it to surveil one.
Nope, you just pay 3
So
tap it.
here we go. Play any type of control deck, and you're good to go.
Yep.
All
If you're
right.
trying to put stuff in the grave, it's good.
I think we talk about one last card before we end, and that's
Um,
this card, Portal to Phyrexia.
I love this card. That's the card I want to bring back with the sorcery. This one here.
Yep.
hmm Now, what I really want to do, I want to turn this into a creature and then copy it with Fable.
Ah.
And this is speed,
S-
yeah.
So yeah, I don't think you can do it in standard, but you can do it in
Is there not a way to make
other formats. Oh, wait a minute. You can animate this with the
car?
mono blue Tezzeret from Neon Dynasty,
Yes.
right? Because that animates any artifact.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely could do that.
Yep. He's definitely gonna. I think he's gonna see play because of the set. Honestly.
Yeah, if y'all haven't bought your 4 mana Tezzerets from Neon Dynasty in Paper Magic yet, you should
Him
have them.
and Karn. Karn's like values going up. Definitely.
Yep. Yeah, this is an amazing card. So it says when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacks 3 creatures. So
That's fantastic.
recipes Commander Pod. At the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and it becomes a Phyrexian.
It's not legendary either. So
Yeah, like what if you just have all of the portal to Phyrexias in play?
like I want to play this and play on turn 5. I want to discard it with Fable, then use the token, play the sorcery on 4. Honestly, I could play this on turn 4. Make you sack your 3 creatures, and my next upkeep, I take your best thing that was sacked.
Make all the power stones and tap the power stones to play this
Oh
portal.
yeah, you can definitely do that.
You know, if there ever was a card to mana sync with power stones, it would be this.
This, there's also the worm.
Oh yeah, the Phyrexian worm.
That card's gonna see play also. That worm is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'm excited to play with this card
I think
and
this card's gonna see standard play, even though it costs
yep.
9. It's gonna see play.
I'll give it for standard like a 3.
I can agree. We'll have to
3?
see how the format goes, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna try my best to make this
It,
card good. Oh, it's because it makes them sack 3 things, which is why I think it's gonna be good.
And it definitely works amazing with that reanimate card,
It
like you
does,
said.
and you don't have to cast it. It can just
Right?
come in, and
It's
then I
pretty.
get.
Oh, Edmonton says best card in the set.
Mhm,
Probably one of the best cards in the set.
mhm.
I would agree. This card's
And
amazing.
if I have a Fable in play and I play Tezzeret and this is already in play, you need to.
You lose.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn it to a creature. Uh, another one. You sack 3 more creatures, by the way. Or
Yeah,
during your end step, I make a copy of this so I can get two things back.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Edmonton, by the way, welcome to the stream. Good to see you back. Thanks for being here. All right. So I think we'll end the set review there, and we'll come back another day this week to do the rest of the set because there's lots of other cards we get to talk about,
Mhm.
like these here.
Mhm.
We didn't even talk about Urza's
Ooh.
yet, or Mishra's, or Sahili. So maybe we'll start there next time, and then work our way towards the other monocolored cards.
Yeah, that
Um,
worm, the red green worm is really good.
yeah. So yeah, we'll stop with the set review there because I do want to play some more of this chromatic cube deck before we end tonight, y'all.
There's
Um, and yeah, so we'll organize when we could do the rest of this during the week.
okay,
But yeah, awesome. Thanks for joining me,
no
Matt
problem.
Adams, and letting me be on your YouTube channel too
Cool.
to promote Brothers War.
Yeah.
So just for everybody in chat, so you know, Brothers War does release in Paper Magic this Friday. Is pre-release weekend, so you can play at your local game store any type of pre-release event. It releases on Arena on the 15th. So that's when you'll be able to open like your pre-purchase packages from the store if you bought them. But yeah, it's been pretty sweet. So, yeah, thanks, Matt
Yep.
Adams.
No problem.
Appreciate you.
It was great to be
Um,
here.
yeah, and let me see.
He also says hello. This the little one.
Yes, thanks to the baby for the help on the set review too. Appreciate that. But chat, we're gonna stay up for just probably about another half hour and try to finish out this chromatic cube draft that we did, or some more games before we end.
Okay.
So don't worry, there's more Magic playing to be had. Um, all right, so I'll see you later, Matt Adams.
Yep. I'll see you later.
See ya. Oh, awesome. No issue. I didn't have any issue. Submit.
Okay, everyone. I hope you enjoyed
Awesome.
the
So that was
first
awesome. That was a good,
couple
I
colors
think,
for the
start
set
to
review. I
using that
probably cut
guest
some stuff
star
out on
feature. I hadn't
accident,
used it
but
before.
I'll see how
So
everything
that
goes
worked out pretty
later.
well.
Thank you for watching.
So I think what